Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing, single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebar2go.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we talk about actual bad signs to look out for in bourbon as the market begins to tighten. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, as well as our special guests, Jeff Andrezi, Lenny Eckstein, and Ryan Thompson.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hello,
guys. Hey, everyone.
Hey, we're going to be talking today. We're going to some true bad signs in the world of bourbon. We hear a lot of things going on, especially right now. We'll get into the ones that we think are actual of concern, or we'll get into, hey, if we see this happening, man, that's not a good sign. These don't even necessarily have to be happening yet. So we'll get to that after the break. For right now, though, Lenny said there's something he wanted to talk about. What is that, sir?
Yeah, so I've been at a few whiskey festivals in the Midwest lately. Nebraska, Omaha, where else? Kansas City. I was just out in St. Louis at a whiskey festival. And something I've noticed that's a little different about, there's some really great things about the whiskey festivals out your way. But one thing I noticed that's kind of different is everyone in it before the event says it's going to be a shit show. Just people drunk everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I always took that. I was like, wow, geez, okay. But it never really is. It's always like in my estimation. Okay. And I think, Ryan might have an opinion on this. We have a lot of whiskey festivals in Colorado, to the point of relative dilution, but maybe we're just used to it. Or maybe, I don't know. I just, this ominous shit show I have not seen materialize yet. So for just curious your guys' take on these whiskey fests, and if you enjoy them, think they're a shit show, leave early before it gets bad.
I think it depends on the festival. There are some festivals that just inherently people are getting absolutely blitzed at.
Right.
I'll say that it seems to be more so the festivals that are just
4 hours.
Maybe for small ones.
We've got those in St. Louis.
Yeah, it's small ones, also ones that are mostly just for the city. They're not something that's put out to the massive, the general public. It's just for the city itself. It seems like you get a lot of people just from the city who are coming there just to get trashed. Now, the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, people are not getting absolutely hammered. I mean, people are drunk there. Let me clarify that. People are drunk there, but it's 3 days.
It's I'll get more tomorrow. There's no press to get everything in.
Shit show.
Right.
But some other ones that are you guys said, a 4-hour one, or it's like I said, at least from my experience, when it's just centralized to just that city. Those are the ones that people do get pretty smashed at. But I don't know. I agree that they're not just like some crazy drunk fest all the time. Okay, New Orleans, people do get trash at the New Orleans one.
Right.
That's New Orleans' fault.
I say, but I think it's because it's in New Orleans. Like it's
Totally.
kind of like expected to happen there. But Kentucky Bourbon Fest is opposite of that.
Yeah. Kentucky's pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say the majority of the ones that we attend are really well ran, have a lot of staff on working, keeping an eye on everybody. And so the majority of people will obey themselves. On occasion, you get one or two people having to be drug out of the event, which is kind of fun for everybody else to see what's going on. And I think a lot of it has to do as well with how the promoters are marketing the event and what demographic they're going after. If they're going after the 21 to 30 year olds and have a low price point, it's going to be a guaranteed shit show. If the demographic is 35 to 65 year olds with costing $150, then it's certainly a more educated, experienced crowd that is there to learn and taste. Yeah. And so I don't think those nearly get out of hand like the other ones do with the different demographics. So
yeah. We've got two big shows to say. There's a lot of other ones too. There's all kinds of, in the park and stuff like that. But there's two big ones of note: the St. Louis Bourbon Festival and Whiskey in the Winter. But I feel like both of those are kind of the same thing. It's a sprint. That's the problem. It's not, the Kentucky Bourbon Festival is a marathon. It's 3 days, and I think that if you go crazy day one, most people realize they're going to mess up day two for themselves or whatever. So I think that it's just a different feel versus 4 hours, 400 whiskeys. I mean, the Whiskey in the Winter, it advertises that they have the most whiskey out of any festival in the country. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but they have a lot because it's not just bourbon, it's not just American whiskey, it's whiskeys from all over the world. So they're pulling from anything can be there, and there's a lot, and that's just too much for some people. They just can't handle it because they want to taste everything, and they go crazy. And by 4 hours in, the full-on effects of that can be seen in the hallways. I mean, I went to it last year. I didn't go this year, but I went to it last year. And, there's a lady with her head in a plastic bag vomiting. Royce and I was there with Royce and Beka, and we're walking past these people sitting on the floor vomiting into bags and stuff. And it's like, this is kind of what you get at this sort of deal. So yeah,
I just went to that event, and I will say a few things that stood out to me. There were some very well dressed attendees there.
Sure,
a lot of proper style, some nice watches, and I thought that people were generally in control. However, one Jen Brenner did a few hours in try to give away her 18-year-old Crown Royal apple to me, which I stiff-armed away, and then to John Wadle next to me, and then he took it and took it out.
Wow,
yeah, trying to give away Crown Royal apple? No thanks.
Yeah, that one not that long ago. It's on the upper floor, like the third floor, and you overlook. It's an open thing where there's escalators going down. It's the big open thing where you can look down. And a lady fell over that one year. So drunk she she lived. Yep. Thankfully, she lived, but she fell over that. I don't even know how you do that. That's
good athlete.
Yeah, she's a good athlete. She didn't walk away. She got ambulanced out of there, but
she's a bad drinker, but a good athlete.
Yes, yeah. Wow. So that one just is a little can be a little.
People
crazy.
Were pretty trash at that last year when we were at it.
Right. Yeah.
Lenny, have you ever done the whiskey and donuts out here in Denver?
Yes, I like that one.
Yeah. We went to it once or twice, and both times when we went to it, it was a shit show.
Yeah, that one is a little crazy.
Is that the one I met you for, Lenny? Whiskey and Donuts?
Yeah,
I thought so. That's you were set up by the promoter to talk to me for that event to promote it.
I love the concept, right? I think it's a lot of fun, but
it's like my the one day year that I'm like, I'm eating all the donuts.
Really? You just you just throw it in. You're like, I'm doing this. I'm gonna be a festival goer.
Yep.
Wow.
So what you're calling festivals, are a lot of these really these half-day events, or are there, how many of them are multi-day?
In Colorado, almost none.
New Orleans and Kentucky Bourbon Festival are multi-day events. Yeah,
sure.
It's not really. Most of them aren't. And it depends on what you call it. Yeah, that what's the one with the music and that in Kentucky? What's that one?
Oh,
It's
Bourbon
not
and
really,
Beyond.
yeah, that one. Some people qualify. It's not really a bourbon festival, really. If you go there, most people are like, it's not really a bourbon thing. It's a music thing, which is fine. But it's just a music festival with bourbon. That's multi-day. So that's there. But that's really about. There's not a whole lot that are multi-day.
Yeah.
You got to really go to Kentucky or like I said, New Orleans. It's multi-day.
And the ones that are longer than 4 hours is come on,
That's
that's ended
tough.
at 4 hours. Maybe there's an early VIP for 45 minutes, something or other, but 4 hours is plenty for these things. So
Yeah, for sure.
I think, and like from a brand perspective, they're pretty awesome because you get to talk to so many goddamn people versus standing in the aisle of the liquor store. That sucks. But unless the ABV Barrel Shop, of course.
Sure,
But
of course. It goes without saying.
you know, I like them. I like the show as well. So shit show or not, I've enjoyed my time and I enjoyed Whiskey the Winter.
Okay, good.
yeah, I enjoy them. I like attending them and
Yeah.
pouring at them. I think they're a lot of fun. To Lenny's point, you get to meet a hell of a lot of people that are really into
Well, good.
whiskey.
I'm glad to hear this. You guys can come to the ABV Barrel Shop's 3rd year anniversary party.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, in July.
Just waiting on the invite.
Okay. We'll be working on that. Actually, we're working on all of our festivals. We do 3 big festivals each year, and we're trying to be super like organized. So we're already working on that stuff. So yes,
Love it.
that'll be good. Yes. All right. Well, there you go. Anybody? Any other things? Anybody want to contribute to that one? Things at festivals? Yeah. There you go. On that note, then, it's time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with Beka this time. She's in the dark. She feels lonely. She probably needs a drink. What do you got there?
I am lonely. I have got a hopeful barrel pick for you here, Steve.
Okay.
I've got a large sample of it that Royce is going to be turning into eggnog.
Oh.
So that should be. He just got
What sort of recipe does he use for eggnog?
some random recipe he found on the internet.
Yeah, I know what recipe.
Yeah, it's a random recipe from the internet. But this is a I want to say it's a high rye. I don't think it's a wheat. I'm pretty sure it's a high rye bourbon. It was 5 years old, and then it's been sitting in a new toasted French oak barrel for like 33, 34 months.
Okay.
And it comes in around 127 proof.
Okay.
So let's see what this does.
Nothing. It did nothing. All right.
It's
Lenny?
funny because it was loud as shit in here.
Was it
Lenny,
really?
you're next. Yeah.
Hate when that happens. So I'm on a quest for. So I figured something out, and I'm going to see if it works. But I don't know if this is one of those bottles. When I open a bottle at St. Louis level, sea level, whatever it is, recork it and then bring it back up here to 8,000 feet. It does some weird shit. It makes a weird noise. It fills with smoke when you open it. So I'm hoping this is one of those bottles. But this is a bottle of Deer Hammer Bourbon, a recent ABV Barrel Shop pick.
Okay. No.
Wow.
Smoke.
All right.
Filled with smoke.
What's going on there?
Pretty cool.
Interesting observation.
Science.
Smoke wagon. Yeah.
What is
Okay.
going on?
I don't know what's going on there. All right. Jeff, you're next.
I've got some Deer Hammer rye from the ABV Barrel Shop. So
Okay.
it's never been anything at any weird elevation, so I'm not expecting any smoke.
Oh,
I'll take
that's
credit for
good.
that.
That's our lead right there. I've got Buzzard's Roost here. This is the Kindred collaboration. So Ethan Spaulding and his father worked on the barrel that this one is in. So let's see what we got here. Oh!
Wow.
Wow.
Show off.
Jeff had one of his best cork pops ever, and that is by the wayside at this point. I have taken the lead, but we still got Ryan to go.
That was one of your best cork pops ever.
That
Ethan.
was fantastic.
Well, speaking of ABV barrel picks, I got the old Rye 3 going here. So
Okay.
there we are.
Oh, there's a Barrel Shop sticker.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Nothing there. Nothing
Well,
there.
it broke.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say it
Oh,
broke, didn't it?
Free pop.
Yeah.
Ooh, dangerous.
Yeah. Got nothing.
His teeth. His veneers almost got messed up there. Yeah. Cheers, gang.
Cheers,
Cheers.
Steve.
Cheers to me. All right, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about these true bad signs in bourbon. We'll do that in just a few. Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Speaking of executive bourbon steward certification, the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri has developed a unique partnership with the Stave and Thief Society to offer a preparatory class to assist you in getting your executive bourbon steward certification. This prep class costs only $25 and is available to take live or online via Zoom. Graduates of our class receive a coupon code good for 15% off your executive bourbon steward certification held in Louisville, Kentucky. This saves you almost $90. Additionally, you can collaborate with fellow attendees to split travel costs when you go to Louisville. If you're interested in signing up for the class, simply head over to abvbarrelshop.com and check out the classes and events page. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in the spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com. And now, back to the show. All right. Grab one of those. Oh, God. It's George T. Stagg. We just throw it around here at the ABV Barrel Shop. You're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about bad signs in bourbon.
Yes, we are. So we hear a lot of naysayers who want, I love the bourbon industry. I don't want anything bad to happen to it. I want all the good times to keep rolling. But there's certainly people that are publishing a lot of things about these things are bad. This is bad, that's bad. Is the bourbon boom over? Is the bubble burst? All these kind of things. And as you wade through that sort of stuff, what sort of things, whether they've happened already, or you could say if this happened, that would be a very bad sign. What are some of those things that you'd look to? Because I say one thing, like we've seen several craft distilleries close. I'm okay with that. I feel like there's a lot of bad bourbon that has been made out there. I feel like
there's so many fucking craft distilleries.
Right.
Like, yes, there's going to be ones that fucking close.
Yeah.
We just have such a magnifying glass on it. Look at how many businesses close in general all the time.
Right.
And so if we see one or two close, or 10 or 15 or 20, 30, whatever, we're like, oh my God, bourbon's going down.
Right. Not
Maybe.
Necessarily. Right.
They just aren't very good fucking business owners. And I don't mean that in a mean way to ones who we know, whatever. There's always different things that happen. But like sometimes like it just wasn't feasible. It wasn't, they weren't in the right area.
People jumped on something because it's hot. That's the thing. And again, every situation is different. There could be someone who has a great business person who's making great whiskey, but for one reason or another, it just didn't connect with fans. Maybe it's not the right city or who knows. Well, we're not talking about that, but we are talking about there's plenty of them that are making bad whiskey out there. They're like, hey, bourbon's hot and I want to be part of it. And they get stuff out there. And I've tasted enough bad whiskey to know that there's people that shouldn't be in this business that are in this business. business, and good riddance to them. Actually, I hate the fact that they're losing money. There's no pleasure in that, but the pleasure is a bad one's bad for everybody. A rotten apple in a bag is bad for the rest of the apples in that bag, and let's get the rotten apples out, and the industry's healthier, I think. So that's not a bad sign to me.
To your guys' point, I think 90% of restaurants don't make it past year 5 or something like that, right? And so
most businesses don't.
Right.
Don't even make it past year 1. Year 1 is tough.
Yes, if you could make it through, is it like the first 5 or 7 years? That means that you should probably be in it for the long haul or something.
Yeah. But
yeah. I mean, it's like just because they're closing, I don't think that's necessarily a bad sign. I just think it's we're focusing on that, and it's just a thing that goes along with business.
Right.
The nature of commerce, right?
Yeah. I think though, like those that have been affected, and we're going to keep seeing more. We went through a weird time. Everybody saw like slow, organic growth to some extent, or you could accelerate it with marketing spends and hiring a sales force, depending on how much one wants to scale. But some of those operations were, they were not planning on a slowdown, and there has been, whether it's
right.
Colorado had some legislative changes that, turned the dimmer down a little bit, and some brands can't weather that. And, if you have to cover your overhead and your sales aren't making up for it, or, that's going to do it. I think that's just the reality. It's a bummer when it happens. Steve, to your point, maybe some of them should. It bums me out whenever it happens. But in the scheme of other things, like some things I see, I think people need to shut the fuck up about not drinking or taking a break from drinking in December.
Exactly. Thank you. I agree.
It's a bad talking point, and
I think it's a bad talking point too. I think it's bad for the business.
Yeah, stop saying it. Also, you don't feel better by not drinking. Right. I tried it. I didn't want to try it, but I had to stop drinking for 3 weeks.
For a medical procedure, then afterwards you couldn't drink, and
I didn't feel any better. I felt exactly the same. If you don't consume heavily, you're going to feel fine.
I also think that with the and I do feel very passionately about this.
Me too.
Because I've had people going. Yeah, it's because I've had people who in my life, close and not close people to me, who've been like, I just don't want to drink anymore, blah blah blah, and their lives are not improved.
Right.
No.
Especially people who are still single and are still young, and now they're secluding themselves to being at home. They're not getting out, and I'm not even talking about necessarily trying to hook up with like the someone hook up with people, like trying to like have sex or like go on dates or whatever. Like just the being secluded at home. And I think that that so many people these days are stopping from socializing. And I think it's so bad, and not to get into mental health, but it's so bad for people's mental health, just staying at home, not doing anything, watching their phones, watching some fucking bullshit, like TV shows, and being so secluded and lonely that it is so horrible on mental health for people. We already did this during the pandemic. We already stayed home and were depressed and sad during the pandemic. And now people are willingly doing it by deciding they're not going to drink and they're going to stay home. They're not going to go to a bar. They're not going to go have a beer with their friends. And then guess what? Eventually your friends stop calling because you don't want to go out and you don't want to do anything.
Right.
And it just gets worse and worse, and you get more and more depressed. And it's just, I think it's so it pisses me off.
It pisses me off too. This whole dry January thing pisses me off. Number one, that people think, well, I'm just taking a break from it. I'm doing this for me. This is about me. No, it's not about you. If it's about you, shut your fucking mouth and quit and put it on goddamn social media then. If it was just about you, you don't have to fucking post it all over Facebook and all this shit. So it's bullshit. It's stupid. It's look at me, look at what I'm doing. And you know what you're doing? You're hurting small businesses. All the small businesses.
You're hurting me.
You're hurting the small liquor stores.
Going out to a small, like a restaurant down the road, going out to a bar that's family owned, even if you're just going there for one or two cocktails, you don't have to get fucking obliterated. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying you should be getting fucking trashed every single night. you should be going out every single fucking night. We're not saying that at all. And like people who are like, well, I'm just trying to save money. Are you saving money?
Right.
Like, okay,
If
yes,
you've got
if you're
the
a
illness,
binge
I
who
support you
goes
in
out and
stopping.
spends hundreds of dollars every weekend on like partying with your friends, yeah, I get it. You are probably saving money. But like, it's just it's fucking stupid.
Stop. Also, let's stop talking about how great tequila is. It's great. I like it. But hey, man, let's drink our own national spirit.
Right.
Maybe. And like, tequila's great. But hey, guess what? You don't have less of a hangover. You don't have a different, buzz. It's great. It's cool. But hey,
but there's less calories in it.
Yeah, stop that. It's not healthy. No. It's also ethanol. So I think that's a problem. But that seems to be kind of slowly, like, kind of, not diminishing, but slowing down a little. And then like something a little more, I don't know, like deeper in the industry. But I know, like, Ryan and I deal with this as a pain point. We knew what we were signing up for, but the 3-tier system is terrible, and it's getting worse, in my opinion, with how tight shelves are getting and not having direct consumer. While that's not a sign of something going in the wrong direction, every month that it doesn't happen, or every year that it doesn't happen, I mean, that is a big thumb on the industry of, small producers, I should say. And, it's a tough one because there's a lot of opposition to it, but I think that would really turn a lot of things around.
Which just blows me. Yeah, don't get me started on the DTC stuff, right? It's certainly a passion pain point of mine and Lenny's and probably Beka's and
mine.
The fact that you can ship wine to your friend, but you can't ship a bottle of whiskey to your friend.
Yeah,
that's such bullshit.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, and I heard somebody mention recently in the industry, they were talking about how in every other world, when you are a producer of something, you have a product to sell, you start out going direct to consumer before you prove your viability and move into a retail channel or a wholesale. We do the opposite, and that sucks. It's really hard, and it costs a lot, and it's I love the distributors I'm with, but damn, it's a tough push to make it happen.
Yeah,
I think that is a problem in the industry.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. I think that is a problem. That is a problem. Yes, but indicators of bad times in the business. I do think a legit bad thing is that we do have so many huge distilleries open up that are just laying down this unbelievable amount. And I think that's bad overall because, what's going to happen? I assume at some point all the big distilleries are going to be selling their highest dollar product is going to be $25 or something. At some point they're laying down so much. Yeah. I don't know what else we can see. So, and I don't think that's good business for my friends in the craft side. Again, you just got to get innovative. You're going to have to, do things to differentiate yourself. But I don't think all this whiskey that's being laid down is a good thing. I don't think so.
I take relative issue with the, proliferation of NDP products also. Right. And while I'm friends with a lot of folks who might fit that category, I love some of them. I really think it's interesting to make one unique, but man, there's a lot. And Steve, to your point, like those big distilleries that are making a ton of whiskey are selling them to non-distilling producers that are putting them in bottles, and the shelves are packed. So nobody's selling enough anymore. Right. We're all getting smaller pieces of the pie. Yeah. I think that is kind of a problem of the times right now. And
I do too. I think that's a legitimate problem.
Yeah. I don't think people are necessarily drinking less, but there's so much more to buy.
It's hard to go out, and even in my local liquor store, when you see things you haven't heard of, well, you're kind of tempted.
Right.
And if you see a reasonable price point, well, that's $50 that didn't go somewhere else on something, especially if it's crummy.
Yeah. I mean, you're voting with your dollar of who's going to succeed in a weird way.
Yeah.
Right.
And to Beka Sue's point about being a good business person, and these guys that are taking a gamble on $100 million to $400 million distillery and lying it down, boy, there better be some smart business minds behind that money.
Right.
It's a huge risk, right?
It's insane.
And they just keep coming aboard too. That's the crazy ass thing.
There's so many.
Yeah. And then the big guys are getting bigger. I mean, Heaven Hill's getting ready to come online with a huge new distillery. Beam's expanded, Buffalo Trace has expanded. All these, the heritage brands have been expanding the last several years.
But at the same time, we have MGP announcing that they're scaling back.
Right.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
what is really happening?
Yeah.
So are they scaling back by fewer
sourcing?
shifts, shutting down?
Or are they scaling back on the sourcing and trying to pump more out through the brands that they have now that they have some viable brands and Penelope and so they always struggled with, first of all, they used to not have any brands, and then they tried getting into brands, and they didn't do any good with it. So now they've got some legitimate brands, and are they just trying to grow those and holding stuff back for themselves, or are they legitimately cutting back altogether where they'll be producing? I can't imagine they're producing less.
I mean, I know for a fact a lot of Colorado producers that I've talked to, myself included, have scaled back production just to weather what is like a bit of a lull right now. Because that is the one upside of whiskey, is if you got a bunch of old barrels sitting around, you don't have to be cranking out like crazy unless you're on a massive growth trajectory.
Right.
But I know.
So I was going to ask a question about that, Lenny, and maybe you and Ryan would be able to comment. One thing I see is more age statement things, stuff that's been out there. Is it because it couldn't sell at 4 years? So now it's 6 or 8.
That's why the age statements are coming back. Yeah, Wild Turkey's bringing them back. Beam, yeah.
I think it depends on the operation, though. Like Steve, I agree 100% on the heritage brand side. For smaller brands, I think a lot of us, I'm quite certain, have the intention of making more than we plan to sell. Otherwise, that's a bitch of a needle of thread. To try to make exactly what you plan to,
right.
It's a balancing act. But, I would say at Deerhammer for sure, we had our eye on a 4-year minimum maturation time, and I anticipate it getting higher, although it's always going to say 4 year because I always want to have the option to pull those. But got a lot of 5-year barrels because, we make more than we sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also comes down to the supply, demand, and cash flow balance triangle. Is to Lenny's point, it's a tough needle to thread for sure, and it's certainly a tricky part about the business. And Jeff, I think it's just probably craft distillery depending on what's going on there. So. And we release some of our older stuff at our tasting rooms just because we want our stuff going to our distributors to be consistent. So all that is 2 years and above at this point. But some stuff at the tasting room, if you come in and hang out with us and, ask the guys behind the bar if we got anything older, and we typically do. So. Sure.
It's just one of the things I see when I see a change, and it's been a noticeable change, seeing numbers again. Right. And it just, is that a sign of a bit of a glut of supply. And it's not different than, I've got 3 pretty good passions right now: barbecue, bourbon, and cigars. And it happened in all of those. COVID drove things crazy. Everyone was buying a freaking barbecue grill for home because restaurants were shut down. And a lot of those companies, you get, I'll use the word greedy. You don't think that it's going to slow down. And
right.
Put a lot of these companies into tough spots. It was great while
they ramped up, and yeah.
I wonder if home stills followed that same trend. Huh? I imagine.
Oh, they did. They definitely did. Yeah, we know somebody in that business, and it was. Yeah, it was like, oh, maybe I can do this full time, but it throttled back down too. So you start going back to work. So yeah. So, there you go. I mean, are things that bad? No. I honestly think, here's my take on this whole thing. The friends that we have, the people that come on these shows, they're going to be fine. You know why? Because they're making good whiskey. I think good whiskey trumps everything. I think that's the important thing. Are the ones going to struggle that are on the margins, that are not making great whiskey, that aren't dedicated to the craft, that treat making whiskey like they're baking a cake, just following a recipe, not creative, not innovative? They're going to struggle, and it could be the end of the line for them. And we'll see. But I think the people that are doing good things, that are doing things the right way, are going to continue to thrive and continue to survive, and are just going to do good things. So I'm still excited about what the bourbon industry is in America, and I think we're going to see continued growth for the people that are doing things right. And for that, I'm excited. So, yeah.
Good whiskey is table stakes at this point, right? So
it is. It definitely
right.
is.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I've read some articles over the last few years that, well, gin's going to be the next bourbon, and I haven't really seen that. There's a lot.
No.
There's a few more gin offerings, but I don't see that appealing like a good whiskey does. But
right.
Yeah, gin's gonna be the next bourbon.
I mean, literally, I've read 2 or 3 articles that were like, and I don't mind a gin, but it doesn't replace. It's not an everyday. It's not. It's maybe that's just wishful thinking, and that was somebody's marketing strategy. Let's get some news out there, but
yeah,
it didn't happen.
No.
There you go. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Jeff, we're going to start with you. Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and the Cigar Dojo. Jeff Indrizi, 2 I's and 2 Z's.
All right, Lenny, how about you?
You can find me and the rest of Deerhammer on social media at Deerhammer, on the webs at deerhammer.com. You can come visit us in beautiful Buena Vista, Colorado.
All right, Ryan.
Drinking good whiskey, and across all socials at 10th MTN Whiskey, and our website's 10thwhiskey.com. That's 10th, whiskey with an E.
All right, Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find at Steve Akeley, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website, that thing's abvnetwork.com. Check that one out. Everything that we do is out there. Also, come by and see me. I'm at the ABV Barrel Shop. I'm there a lot, so check us out online. Know what we have going on. Sign up for our email and text distribution over at abvbarrelshop.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, guys, please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. Fart and Swev, a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Before we let you go, let's talk about one last thing. The ABV Barrel Shop in the St. Louis community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on a couple of things. First of all, single barrels. We are the place where single barrels live. We go to distilleries, taste through the whiskey, select the best barrel, and have it shipped to our store where we present it to you, our customers, by allowing you to try before you buy. We're also known for the classes that we have in our education center in the store, as well as the events we have with industry professionals from the bourbon business. If you are in the St. Louis area, please come by and visit us at 6 Fox Valley Center in Arnold, Missouri. Or at a minimum, at least sign up for our email and text distribution so you know exactly what's going on in our shop over at abvbarrelshop.com. This is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.